whether it's a construction business, grocery business, or wine business, are the same to me. It's a people business. You have to recruit the right people and retain them. Retaining is the art of the management.
Welcome to A Life Well Lived, where we pull back the curtain on the extraordinary lives of our remarkable members. I'm James Henderson, CEO of Exclusive Resorts. For me, travel has never been about the destination, it's always been about the company you keep. Over the years, I've crossed paths with some of the world's most fascinating, well-traveled individuals, each bound by a singular pursuit: to live not just well, but exceptionally. Their stories aren't just worth telling, they're worth learning from. Because in the end, it's not about where we go, but how we choose to live. In this episode, I have the pleasure of speaking with Darioush Khaledi, a visionary entrepreneur and member of the club since 2021. Born in Iran and trained as a civil engineer, Darioush built one of California's largest family-owned grocery businesses before following his passion for wine. As the founder of Darioush Winery, he's blended Persian heritage with Napa Valley craftsmanship, creating a winery that is as much about hospitality as it is about exceptional wines. We'll explore his remarkable journey, his philosophy on business and community, and the art of bringing people together. So we are sitting here in the Darioush Winery in Napa Valley. I'm in this fantastic room, which is Darioush's private cellar, and we just walked down into the basement of the winery, and there is an incredible feeling down here. It's very calm, very tranquil. We have a lot of the wine in the barrels outside, and you can smell the wine and the oak down here. It's got this incredible feeling. One of the things that strikes me when you first come into the winery, you have a bronze statue outside, and it's in our hands. And I think there is a cultural concept that you call tarof. I think it's all about sort of hospitality and the fact that being in your home and your environment here is more homely than the home itself. Can you explain a little bit of that concept to us?
The Persians are known for their hospitality. In fact, when I was a kid, I remember there wasn't too many hotels in the city that we were living. And often we had guests that I never met them. They just come. Whoever knocked the door, you would welcome them home. Yeah. So that's in our DNA, in the Persian DNA. And so when I came to Napa, the first visit I had, it was about 33 years ago, when Shahpar, my wife, and I first time came to Napa to celebrate our 20th anniversary. And when I visited the wineries, I didn't feel that they were really, and the beauty of the Napa and everything, but they weren't really matching. The service was not the way I wanted to be. So I told Shahpar, my wife, I feel like I'm walking to Motel 6 when I go to this sales room. Yeah. If ever we open a winery, I like to be feeling like a Four Seasons. So we were, when 25 years ago, when we started servicing and we start our winery. In fact, we are celebrating this year our 25th anniversary. We were operating in a double wide trailers, but we made it beautiful and put landscaping around it, and nobody would think that this is temporary while we're under construction.
So you had trailers here originally?
Oh yeah, double wide trailer.
Really?
We operate 4 years on double wide trailers while we were doing the construction. So we had full-time concierge at that double wide trailer. And we were the first winery that we had full-time serious concierge. There were signs of concierge in some of the wineries, but nobody was behind it. Right now, today, we have 5 full-time employees that are doing the concierge. And when our customer come in from their other wineries reservation, hotel reservation, restaurant reservation, we help them. Some of our members, they just call and say, we are coming for 3 days, and then we put the program together for them.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Fascinating. So let me go back a little bit to I want to take you back to sort of you were talking about growing up in Iran and not having that sort of sense of hospitality. So I always find whenever we're together, you have this incredible sense of calm and sort of gentleness about you, and I'm curious to know where that came from. Can you tell me a little bit about growing up in Iran and what was it like? This was pre-Iranian Revolution, wasn't it?
Yes. I grew up in. My father was in military, and we were traveling a lot. So I grew up in Shiraz, Isfahan, Tehran.
Which is a big wine culture there, isn't it, Shiraz?
Yeah, Shiraz. In fact, my father used to make wine for hobby and for the family consumption. Not serious commercial wine. And as a child, was watching my father making wine. In fact, I can give you. Still, I remember when I was 6 years old. One day, I went to the cellar of my dad. I see a big clay vat. And I climb on top of the vat, and I see something that smells good, but I couldn't reach to use that. So there was a towel hanging there. I took the towel and put it on the wine and started sucking the towel. And that was my first
experience with wine.
Yes, with wine.
What a great start.
But pre-revolution, the wine consumption did not have any age limit. So often we had, as a child, we had wine. My father put wine in our glass of water. It was very normal.
Yeah. Very European sort of a feel. So I think November the 6th, 1968 was an important day for you, I believe.
Yes.
Is that right?
I never forget. In the morning, we pick up our credential of master degree diploma in civil engineering, and with 2 of my classmates, we form our construction company, and that night was our wedding night.
On the same day?
On the same day. So I never forget November 6, 1968.
And so you started your career in civil engineering in Iran.
Yes,
that was your
we got
first business.
In fact, next day or next week of that our wedding, we got our first contract, and we start working. And during the early 70s, late 60s, as you recall, the oil went from $2-3 a barrel to $12,
right.
$14. So it was lots of ample money coming to Iran, and Shah was determined to bring the country to the European standard. So lots of contract was available, and we got many of those. I remember right before I come to US, we had like 20 different sites of the construction in Iran, from South Persian Gulf to the Caspian Sea.
20 sites, wow.
20 sites. I had my Range Rover with 2 drivers, and going between the site in the daytime and in the nighttime driving, and in daytime working to the different site.
And what sort of distances were you traveling?
Probably about 3,000 kilometers between the south to the north.
That's huge.
Going back and forth, yes. I work in 26 days a month.
Wow.
And come home only 4 days a month. And every time I come, my daughter Sally would feel a stranger to me.
Oh, really?
I have to spend a couple of hours with her to get acquainted again.
Really?
Yes.
So that was the sort of the beginning of your career, and you built a very successful company doing that. And then I understand that you visited, I think Shahpar's sister was in the US, and you came to visit.
Yes, we came she was living in Redondo Beach, California.
Yeah.
And my brother was a student in Norman, Oklahoma. Oklahoma City. So we stopped at Oklahoma City first for stayed only a couple of days, and we knew that that's not the place we like to stay. So we moved to Redondo Beach. We were guests of Shahpar's sister.
This was your first visit to the US, was it?
I'm sorry?
Was it your first visit into the US?
Yeah, that was my first.
And what year was that?
1976.
Okay.
It was December of 1976.
Yeah.
Yes. So I love who doesn't love California?
Yeah,
So we fell in love, and next day my brother-in-law gave me a tour around, and I discovered Palos Verdes. And
beautiful
the
place.
following week we bought a house in Palos Verdes, and we were having a good time, and they said, well, your tourist visa is going to expire in 6 months, so we have to get the green card, permanent visa. So to get that, one of the way you could expedite to get the green card if you own the business. And I bought a small supermarket just to get the green card. And on lo and behold, the revolution happened.
So were you still going backwards and forwards at that time?
No, I stayed. It was like 2 years before revolution when it happened.
So that was
Actually,
79,
year
wasn't it?
before you start
Yeah.
all the demonstration in the street and
Yeah.
unrest in Iran.
So you were spending more and more time.
We prefer not to go back.
Yeah.
We stayed here.
Yeah.
And then when revolution happened, whatever I had in Iran, I lost. They took over our company because it was a big company, and
Right.
we were dealing with the government. All of our contract was with the government, in Ministry of Road or military, and whoever dealing with the government in the large scale, it would be considered the friend of Shah, and,
Right.
and they took over everything. So I start. And, all of a sudden, they pull the carpet under you. You were in the air. So I started learning the business from that small grocery store.
So you bought a grocery store.
Yeah, we bought it for not just the purpose of the green card. I had no idea one day I have to start working on that market.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So you bought the grocery store. You were here in 78 or 76. The revolution was 79, I think, wasn't it? So
early 79.
Early 79.
You would see in 78,
The unrest.
early 78, that things is going to change.
Yeah. And so you bought a grocery store in Torrance, I believe. Is that?
Yes.
Is
Our
that
first
right?
store was in Torrance.
And describe the store to me. What was it like when you bought it?
Well, when I start working there, I see most of the customers are Mexican descent.
Yep.
And most of the employees were like American, Anglo-American. And I thought, well, and then they would shop their original American stuff from our store and then go across the street for a small mama papa grocery store, which was specializing in the Mexican food and Latino food. And I went to the cross the street and asked, where do you get those stuff? I want to bring it to my market. He wouldn't tell me, of course.
Of course, yeah.
And the next morning, I stayed early morning and I see the truck that they delivering. I took the number and I called that company and
Really?
and start bringing the Latino products in my store. And within a few months, our volume doubled.
Really?
Yes. And then as the volume goes up, I start hiring people from the community of the Mexican customers that we had. And then as I learned the business, and I always like to progress. So start the guy who sold our first store, he had another store and he saw how well we are doing it.
Yeah.
And then he sold his second store to us.
Yeah.
And then the gala continued. Within 25 years, we had 41 locations.
Wow.
We were the largest grocery chain in Southern California,
Amazing.
privately held, family owned.
And you were working in the store yourself at the very beginning?
Yeah, from the beginning, yes.
And I understand when
just pushing the basket because I didn't know, and I started learning how to work with the check stand.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
So because when you came, you didn't speak much English, I don't think, did you?
No, because French was my second language. Yeah. And my wife, Shahpar, was my interpreter. So I went to Berlitz language school.
Oh, you did?
Get some courses in, in USC, and then get some education in USC, and then later executive MBA program in Cornell University for 2 months. Yes.
Impressive. And how did, tell me about the story of building the store. I mean, to go from sort of one store in Torrance and to 41 in 25 years is amazing, amazing process. Was this, was it every year or two, or so you bought more stores and you just added stores to the collection?
Actually, almost 10, 15 of those was ground up.
Okay.
And it's amazing that the areas that we had a store, major chain would leave because of the quote-unquote ghetto area of the Southern California.
Yeah.
And it's amazingly when you invest in those areas, the people would answer. So the areas that was very crime-related, when you clean and you remodel and you put a nice store, people respect that. So we were known for that. In fact, many of our sites, the cities would call us and condemn the areas and said, build the supermarket.
Really?
Yes.
Because it raised the level in that location.
Yes, exactly.
And I remember you telling me a story last time, I think we talked, when you said that there was a lot of pride of the employees in the stores.
Yes.
And even during, I think it was the Rodney King riots, was that in the, that was the 70s or 80s?
You know,
wasn't it?
It was in 1991, if
91,
I remember
that's right.
correctly. That, if you remember, the riot happened, the Rodney King riot.
In LA, yeah.
And we had a store in Compton, which was majority African American. And when the rioters came, because I ordered all the employees leave the store, I didn't want to risk anything with our employees. The neighborhood came and they stopped the rioters. They said, no, this is our store.
Really?
Yes. And it's amazing. I drive an expensive car. And I would go with my car in Compton. I go to Inglewood. I go to Wilmington.
Yeah.
There's very high crime area.
Yeah,
and the people, and the neighbors, they would come and stay around my car to protect it.
Really?
It's amazing.
That's
yes.
incredible. That's incredible. That's quite the story of...
when you invest and you have your heart with the community, they invest back on you. Yeah.
And how does that translate to when you were... I guess you had people that stayed with you quite a long time with employees, and clearly, the sense of this of tariff, I guess, the hospitality is something that you've carried through all of your businesses. I assume it was the same in the grocery business, was it?
Oh, absolutely. Whether it's a construction business, grocery business, or wine business, are the same to me. It's a people business. You have to recruit the right people and retain them. Retaining is the art of the management.
And how do you do that?
I don't know. It just naturally, I think I create the community in the company like a family.
Yeah.
Everybody enjoy working with each other.
Yeah.
And I don't really micromanage. I let them make the mistake and learn from the mistake, and often they come and they ask me a question or they bring me a problem. I said, well, what do you think? They always, I know for sure each employee, when they bring you a problem, they know the solution. You just ask, you have to ask them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I always found that. I've always found that any business that I've been involved in, I've always found that if you spend time with the people who are at the operational level of the business, they know the business, they have the ideas.
Oh,
and if you can create the structure to help them to build and grow and implement their ideas and give them credit for it, that's how you generate success.
Yeah, yeah, and give them authority and let them do what they know the best. What helps me in my first career, the construction, I knew about it, but my second and third career, the grocery and the wine, I really need the people's help. That's how it developed, that give authority to the people.
Yeah.
Because they know how to do the business.
Absolutely. And so you received the Entrepreneur of the Year award in 1995, I think. Is that right?
Yeah. You, how did you find out about all things about me? Yes, it was, I think, 95.
Yeah.
Did you say? Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
they would look for most progressive companies that they liked the way we were operating and the way we were growing, and it was USA Today and Morgan Stanley, I think they had this Entrepreneur of the Year, and I think they made a mistake by choosing me.
I don't think so. I think they got the right man when they chose you. I really do. So, I mean, as an immigrant coming to America back in the sort of the 70s and the 80s, what were some of the challenges that you faced at that time?
And just the language,
really,
for me. I remember. I was watching TV and I love movies.
Yeah.
And I'm telling my wife, I wish one day I could understand what they're saying.
Really?
Yes. I work probably 14 hours a day just to learn the language.
Yeah.
It took me only 6 months till I start enjoying the movies.
Is that right?
Language, my second language, yes.
So hence the Jack Nicholson picture on the wall of your office that I so Darioush has a wonderful Jack Nicholson picture on the wall of his office that we were looking at earlier on. I mean, this is really the American dream, isn't it? It's the fact that you come to the US and you build a business and you can be successful. And I also read you also received the Ellis Island Medal of Honor in 2008. That's very impressive.
Another accident.
No, I don't think so.
Mistake.
I don't think so. You're very humble.
Yeah.
You're very humble.
Let me tell you the memory that I have from that night when, it's very proud moment that they take you from the Battery Park with all the bells and whistles in the ferry to go to the Ellis Island. Only the recipient can get to that ferry. And then another ferry behind is the family an hour later. So during the ferry, we start talking to the other recipient. And one of the person, he was from Turkey, but grew up in U.S. and said, "What do you do?" He said, "Well, I'm a heart surgeon." And we start talking, and because he was Turkish immigrant, I was Persian immigrant, and we talked. And when an hour later, we were very good friends during that 1 hour. When my wife and my daughter arrived, and I introduced my new friend, I meet Dr. Oz, and he said, "Oh, Dr. Oz." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Oh, he's very famous."
Yeah. You didn't know?
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't watch that much TV, so that was a fine memory. But it's amazing when you arrive and you see all those military uniforms, 5 branch of military, from the Coast Guard to Navy to Marines, and with the music.
Incredible.
I was just, it must be some mistake. I don't believe it belongs here. And it's amazing when I was going through the aisle to get my medal from the Marine.
Yeah.
I was thinking, what a country, really, to open the door to immigrant like me, to come here with empty hand, and but mind full of idea and heart full of hope to live in this country and make it home. God bless America. I
Amazing.
really enjoy that. I appreciate, and we, as an immigrant, we never take it for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very humble. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I read a quote where you said that there are three things that you got from your father. One was the drive. You said he was always pushing you. The second is horses. He was a horseman and a polo champion, I believe. And the third is wine. So he was a very inspirational person in your life. And can you talk more about that?
Yes, I remember when he would see my scorecard from school, and if I had, in Iran was a system of 0 to 20, not 100, not ABC. When I had 17 out of 20, but it was the first one, top of the class, then it said, okay, but if I had 19, but I was the second, it would say, you have to work harder.
Oh, really?
It's always drive. Even when I was waking up early morning to study more, and he would always come and from the window watch me, that if I'm not sleeping but studying.
Really?
So it's the military style that when I was child I did not appreciate.
Yeah.
But at least once a month I go and kiss his grave.
You do?
Yes. He's buried in Palos Verdes also.
Really?
The last few years of his life, we brought him here in US, and he lives with us.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
When did he pass away?
It was 1992. Yeah.
So he saw a lot of your success in the US that you built. So he must have been very proud of you.
Yes, he was. When I took him to the one of the city that we had construction in Iran, I invited him and he came to visit. That was the city that he was born, and then he came to me one night. He said, "You know what? I'm proud because everywhere I said, they said this is the father of engineer Khaledi, not the son."
Oh, is that right?
And he used to be the son of Colonel Khaledi now.
Yeah. So it's reversed.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So his love of wine, I guess, inspired your love of wine a little bit as well. I read this, I think it was a quote that Rumi said that says, "Let yourself be drawn by the stronger pull of that with which you truly love." And you were a wine collector when you were, we had the grocery business. So talk me about the story about how that translated into your love for wine and developing into the wine business and buying the property.
Well, I loved wine, and then later on I became a wine collector, and mostly from Bordeaux, and then I wanted to go into the region to see how they doing it
In Bordeaux.
So I start traveling Bordeaux often, once or twice a year, and made many friends, and then they were kind enough to invite me to harvest and winemaking, and little by little the dream of owning my own winery developed. When we were having lunch at Lion d'Or, is a very famous restaurant in Pauillac, Bordeaux, and seeing all those vintners there having lunch and talking, and they had the copies and their own wine, and they would go and take their wine and things. And I told Shahpar, isn't it nice to own our own winery?
Yeah.
So we were looking for a property in Bordeaux to buy. In fact, we came very close to buy Chateau Loudun in Médoc. But as I mentioned, 33 years ago, when we came for the first time to Napa, and we discovered Napa, I have not tasted much the California wine.
Yeah.
I was all Bordeaux guy.
Yeah.
So we discovered, and way back to LA, I told Shahpar, why we go that far to Bordeaux? Napa is as nice, and it's much closer to home. So we started looking for property, and it took me a few years. In one of the day, again, everything happened by accident.
Right. Yeah.
We were passing this property that now currently our winery. I asked, what is this property? It was a small stone building only. He said, oh, this is Altamura Winery. So is it for sale? And I know the Altamura, I have a couple vintage of it in my cellar. It's a good wine. Are they selling? I said, yeah, but you don't want to deal with George Altamura. I said, why? I said, he's a very tough businessman. Nobody liked to deal with him. I said, well, may I meet him? And they took me to him. He was the first Italian immigrant, first generation Italian immigrant, and I'm a first generation Persian immigrant.
So you connected.
Within a few minutes, we clicked, and we were friends, and we shook hands. And 12 days later, I was
you own a winery.
Owner of the winery.
That's fast.
Yeah.
So it's interesting the sort of the arc of experience from being a civil engineer and building a civil engineering company. It seems like one life. The next life in building a very successful grocery business down in LA from nothing, very small, and then moving into the winery business. What is that? What are the sort of the shared sort of experiences or skills from each of those areas that you can apply across those businesses? Do you see?
It's just the people. There are. I don't see a difference between the different industries. They call it company. The company means the people, not the equipment.
Interesting.
Not the asset. I remember when we were very early stage in our grocery business, we were making nice annual financial statement to get loan from the bank. And in the first page, I would have that written that the real asset of this company is the next page of the picture of our management. Not those numbers that you see after, because they were nice, those numbers early on. So the asset of the company are the people, really. In my grocery company, we had once 85 people in our headquarters, vice presidents, directors. Good 50 of them had over 30 years with us.
Is that right?
Yes.
That's a real testament. That's amazing.
Yeah. The retention is very important. And,
that's amazing.
We had, in our grocery company, we had overall about 2,500 employees. And every morning, the first thing I do, just call whose birthday, and call and sing for them.
Oh, you really did?
A happy birthday.
You did?
Yes. It would become more and more difficult as we grow. So I limited to management only.
Really?
And a store director and the department head director. But I still do. And,
do you?
Yes.
Yeah, the winery, really?
Yeah, winery and other even old employees. All my top ranks are retired now, and still I call them and I sing the birthday for them.
When did you sell the grocery business? What year?
Well, actually, instead of selling the company, I started selling the stores to maximize my return on investment. I started in 2012, made 12 of them, make a package I sold, and then continue to sell 5, 10, 12. And the last one was 2019.
Okay, so quite recently then.
12.
I didn't realize it was so recent.
The last 12 was the 2019. But in the meanwhile, I was going between LA and Napa almost once, sometimes twice a week, fly back and forth to take care of both business.
So let's change gears a little bit and talk about the winery. And I mean, this business, it started as a hobby here, I think, for you. What was the point where you realized that this was really taking off and this was going to be much more than a hobby, but a real sort of a core business for you?
I remember one day my CFO in my grocery company in LA came to me and said, Darioush, your hobby is now become a business. It's a serious business.
Is that right?
When we're going to stop pumping money from Southern California to Northern California? You know, that famous word is about if you want to make a fortune to the wine business, you have to put twice.
Yeah, start with $1 billion. Yeah. If you want to make $1 million, start with $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It took me almost 7-8 years to break even.
Really?
Yes. It's you have to imagine, you plant.
Mm-hmm.
It takes 5 years
Mm-hmm.
to start taking the grapes that is worth to make wine.
Mm-hmm.
And then you crush, and you have to wait 3 years before you release it.
Right.
So it's 8
8
years.
years before you can really make money, yeah.
During that 8 years, you have all the expenses with no revenue.
Yeah.
So
The another Persian proverb that I read was show your dreams to others, and it seems to me that the architecture here is very unique in terms of the design that you've made. It's probably I think it's probably one of the most unique properties certainly in the valley, maybe even in California. Can you talk about the inspiration behind the design of the winery?
yes, when we bought the property, I immediately wanted to find the designer to design the label. And at that time, I had no idea the name of the winery would be Darioush.
Oh, you didn't?
No. So we met this label designer in St. Helena.
Yeah.
And incidentally, he was very interested in history and the Persian history.
Yeah.
And then he showed me a book of Darius the King and the Persepolis,
Mm-hmm.
and said, maybe you should choose the name of the winery Darioush, because your name is Darioush,
Mm-hmm.
but we name it after Darioush the King.
Mm-hmm.
The Darius the King of Persia, Achaemenian, 2,600 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Pronunciation in US is Darius, but in the correct pronunciation in Farsi is Darioush.
Yeah.
So, and then the label has his picture holding the glass of wine or jar of wine. So the people, they think I'm so selfish to name the winery after myself. No, it's not after me, after Darioush the King.
Interesting.
So when I hired the architect who designed our home in Palos Verdes, and I was very impressed with his talent. And he said, well, you have now the package of Darioush. We have to build the Palace of Darioush, which is the Persepolis.
Of course, yeah.
So that's how the idea started. And, it was challenging. Like, I wanted to be everything original. So we even tried to bring the stone from Iran around the Persepolis that I thought maybe it is the same stone that they built the Persepolis with.
And these are the columns that you built?
These are the columns, but the building.
Oh, the building.
Columns are cast.
Okay.
Yeah, concrete cast. But the stone of the building came from Iran. But during the transportation...
So the whole building?
The whole building.
Wow.
Yes.
Because it's a big building. It's a pretty huge size.
During the transportation, we find out we cannot import anything from Iran. It was an embargo.
Yeah.
Economic embargo. So when there is a will, there is a way. So we find this stone merchant in Turkey that was dealing with Iran, and we brought this stone to Turkey. They slab it and bring it.
So it came through.
We import it as a Turkish stone.
Fascinating.
But this is a very unique stone. If you ever anywhere in the world you find this stone, building with this stone, let me know. Take a picture and send it to me.
I will look. I think there are probably very few of them. So how does your Iranian heritage and the cultural history of winemaking from Shiraz, how do you apply that? And how does that guide your winemaking philosophy here?
Well, I think it is fact that the birth of the wine come from the area of Iran, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Georgia, from that part, which was part of Persian Empire.
Yep.
Now they have different name and different country. So, when my French friend, they said Shiraz is from Rhône and has 500 years of history, and I would tell him, well, I think Shiraz is from Shiraz grape. and if you don't believe it, in University of Pennsylvania, there is a wine jar that is 7,000 years
That's incredible,
old,
isn't it?
and the residual inside shows that is a wine. So they were making wine 7,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So now you tell me whether Shiraz grape is from Shiraz or from Rhône or from Iran. So I love, and in fact, we have 3 acres of our vineyard I dedicated to having Shiraz, and we're making Shiraz wine, which is not too often in Napa.
Yeah, you don't see that very much.
Napa is
here.
mostly Cabernet,
Very much so.
Chardonnay.
Yeah.
But we have in for my childhood and for the memory of father, we planted that 3 acres, and I named it Kolar, which is the region of the Shiraz.
Right.
One of the best region of the sub-appellation of the Shiraz. They're making wine. In fact, I started 4 years ago to make natural wine the way my father used to make. And we find this terracotta container. And so we crush it by foot and add no yeast.
Really?
Just the natural yeast.
Yeah.
Add no sulfur. And we bottle it. The first vintage was 2019.
Really?
And I call it Pedar. Pedar in Farsi means father.
Fantastic.
Yes,
Fantastic.
but only 60, 70 cases of the wine. But this is and we release it for the friends for the Father's Day.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
That's very nice.
I would all sell in the first day.
And can we still dip the cloth inside to taste it? No, is that possible?
No, I learned how to use it, how to consume the wine now.
Much better. Exactly. So when you first came here, as well in sort of 1990s, I guess influenced by sort of your preference for Bordeaux, you made a fairly unorthodox decision to focus on sort of cooler climates, Mount Vida, southern part of Napa for the winemaking, and that was a little bit different to what the rest of the valley was doing at the time. What inspired you to do that?
Yeah. You know the difference in the temperature between in the summer days, especially in Calistoga and the Napa, South Napa, it's sometimes 10, 15 degrees.
Yeah.
So it's the cooler side. And when temperature is high, the grapes sugar goes up rapidly without maturity of the wine. So you need a little bit cooler area that sugar and the maturity goes, because I like to harvest when the grapes are fully mature, because then you have the most taste of the grapes.
Yeah.
So I think the cooler side has better chance to have to reach the full maturity of the grapes without having too much sugar, which has become a high alcohol wine.
And is this and so now you produce 11 varietals, I think, now, is that right?
Yes, we make Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Malbec, Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir, of course, I find this property in Russian River, Sonoma. That's the only wine that we make. It's not grapes from Napa. I think Sonoma is better suited for Pinot Noir than Napa.
Yeah. And your Darioush 2 wine that I see behind you in these spectacular bottles a little bit here. Can you talk a bit about that and about the wine, the inspiration behind the wine, the unique nature of it, and then of course the labels, which are extraordinary.
So we had it was in 1999 that in the Napa Vintners Barrel auction, we presented this lot, which was primarily the grapes from Montevideo and the top of the hill of our own winery here behind the building. And everybody went crazy, and it was picked for top 100 wine of the world, and so we have decided to label it differently because whether it's true or not, but a rumor saying that Darioush the king did not allow any son to be named Darioush. So we thought, since we already have Darioush Cabernet Sauvignon, we have a different name and different label. So we keep the integrity of the signature Darioush Cabernet Sauvignon. And we choose Darioush the 2. And we choose the American pronunciation of the Darioush, which is Darius.
Okay. So this is Darius. Okay.
Yeah, Darius.
Yep.
The same guy, but the different pronunciation. And then we were using the Persian textile art for the label and changing it every year. And then we were running out of the pictures that we were using. And one day we were with Shahpar, we were in London, and we visited the Victoria Albert Museum.
Yep.
And I discovered they had 2,000 pieces of Persian textile from 14th, 13th century. And we asked them that if you could use those for our label. They said, sure, but then we have to manage it, and you have to pay the royalty. And I said, fine. So from 2013 on, every year we are using one of those, but we have to also, per our agreement, we have to name Victoria Albert Museum in the back of the label. Yes.
That's fantastic. I mean, they're all so unique. And so you've done 10 years of this now?
Yeah, since 2013 was the first vintage we used, Victoria Albert Museum. Yes.
They're beautiful. Absolutely spectacular. And also the large formats you're doing here. Really amazing. The other thing that I really liked as well, you have a wine named after Shahpar, your late harvest Shahpar, which I really liked. And I just want to read what it says about it. It said, produced only when nature deems it so, Shahpar is a rarity by definition. Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon grapes are harvested late, well into cool winter months. Their fortitude lends deep character, grace, and poise, so suited to share its name with Darioush's wife, Shahpar. It's beautiful.
When we bought our second vineyard, it was acre of the Sauvignon Blanc and acre of the Semillon on it. And it was late, and we didn't make Sauvignon Blanc. So I told my winemaker, Steve, so let's make a late harvest. And we tried it was our first vintage was, I think, 2000, which was a very rainy, wet vintage.
Yep.
And in order to get the natural botrytis on the or Sauterne style wine, you need botrytis, and botrytis comes when it's wet. And then when the wine was ready, we tasted and we really enjoyed it, and we have decided to bottle it. It was only 30 cases or 40 cases of small bottle of wine. And then we said, well, what should we name it? And Steve David, my winemaker, which just retired 2 years ago.
So he was with you from the beginning.
23 years.
Yes.
He said, "What is the sweetest name in the Persian language in your ear?" And I said, "Shahpar, my wife."
Good for you.
So we named that wine. And, it was in her birthday. We were having dinner at French Laundry.
Mm-hmm.
And then I asked the sommelier to bring it after dinner for the dessert,
Mm-hmm.
to bring that wine and surprise her.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That's fantastic.
Wow. From the distance, it looks like a Sauterne bottle.
Yeah.
When you come close and you see Shahpar's.
And she had no idea?
Yeah, she had no.
Oh, that's
I
fantastic.
surprised her. Yeah.
That's fantastic. What a great story. So you...
And I get in trouble because when I tell that story in some of my wine dinners, and the wife look at the husband and said, "Honey."
I'm sure you do. So we talked a little bit about sort of the hospitality here as well, and this seems to be sort of a constant theme. Another quote that I really liked was on your website, actually, I saw is "My house is a lantern, the guest is a candle." And the sort of the sense of coming into the winery here, you feel every single person you meet when you come in, it's that sense of warmth and that sense of culture, and it feels like this is something that that you've really engendered here. Talk more about that. It's very impressive.
Well, every person I meet every day, I feel like is most important person in my life, and I treat them such. It's, I guess, the love. We always says, it's a Persian word. It says, when you open the door of your home, you open the door of your heart. So that's, to me, it's just a natural. I don't do any special effort or thing. Just I love. And the Persian are generally humbles, and they don't talk about themselves. I have a hard time when they want me to talk about myself. It's not in our culture to talk about ourselves. The others may talk, but not yourself. Yeah.
So how have you? I mean, I want to come back to something I was asking earlier on. I mean, you have this incredibly calm, gentle demeanor, and yet you've faced adversity. I mean, the from the beginning of your career, and having to leave Iran when you'd built a very successful business, and starting from scratch all over again, and building a company in your grocery business in LA, and growing that from the ground up, and then obviously coming here, you start another business. But how do you maintain that? How do you maintain that sort of that demeanor and that calmness and that sort of very gentle attitude that you have?
I don't know. It just, maybe part of it is aging. I wasn't that calm 40 years ago. You can ask Shahpar, my wife. Part of it is age, part of it is culture, part of it, I don't know. It just, I didn't plan it that way. It just, I guess, mature. The age changed in the last 60, 70 years from average age of like 50 or 45. I remember when I was child, in the alley that we were living in Isfahan, Iran. It was an old guy with the cane was passing. And the other child whispered in my ear, "He is 60 years old." The 60 was rare, Now the people are, I'm 77 and still I swim every day, I golf, I ski, and all the activities of the young people.
Do you still? Now, your father used to ride horses. Do you ride as well?
Oh, I still ride horse. I have a horse.
Oh, you do?
His name is Lucky. Yes.
That sounds very fitting.
Yeah.
Actually, then is the horse here or in LA?
Yeah, it's here in Napa.
He is. How do you think the sort of connection with horses, is that something that shaped your philosophy in your life? It's been a constant part of your life, I think, or not?
I just love horse. Why do you? I see that you have a dog.
Yeah.
Why do you have a dog?
Yeah.
Why you have love it? It's just
it's connection, isn't it?
connection. I connect in with horse.
So let me change it into a thing. Philanthropy is clearly something that is important to you, and is an integral part of your life. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the causes and organizations that you're passionate about? You were a founding member of Festival Napa, you're involved in Ole Health. Talk a little bit about some of those things that you do.
It just started when we connected with communities in LA. And I remember one of the time that I visited one of the sites that we were under construction, grounds up, and it's dust and everything goes. It was a school next door to our site. And I said, when we finish, we have to do something about this school because we, and then we bought, they didn't have a playing field, playground. And we built a playground for them. And then they didn't have a computer science lab. We furnished that for them. And satisfaction I got from the kids and the letter that they sent me, it just encouraged me to go on. And then about 23, 22 years ago, when John Shahpar one day came to my office and talked about the Ole Health and what it does for the community of the non-privileged people, the people with no insurance, no means of going to the doctor. And what this clinic is for those farmers with no papers. And I said, wow, this is really what I like to do. So I got involved with him, and we start helping Ole Health and developing. And again, for some reason, they choose me as a chairman of that Ole Health.
Wise choice.
Yes, and then same thing, I got involved on helping the college. When I visited Napa Valley College, I see that their vineyard in their viticulture area that is really needs to be replanted. And I helped them to replant the vineyard, and they named that vineyard after us now. Yes, and you know, we started about 17 years ago. The Napa has beautiful wineries, beautiful area, good restaurants. What was missing was a music. And I was one of the co-founder of the Napa Valley Festival that we started. And, you know, they, again, by mistake, they put me as a chairman, and now I'm a founder. After my term out, I'm a founder. They gave me a title of founding chairman of that festival.
How many years now Festival Napa has been going?
17.
Is it really 17?
Yeah, 17,
it's
18,
incredible.
Actually 18, but 17 program because 1 year because of the COVID we couldn't have the festival.
It's incredible. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And I met you in the festival.
That's right. We met. That's right. Of course, we met. Was it a couple of years ago? I think it was. We met.
And I hope I see you again in 2-3 weeks.
You will. We will definitely be there.
Yeah.
So you and Shahpar have now been married for 55 years.
Yes.
What's the secret?
Well, I think the marriage is like a table with the 4 legs. In top of it is the bouquet of the flower, which is the fruit of the marriage. And as long as these 4 legs are in the balance, that fruit stay. And those 4 legs are love, respect, communication, and compromising.
Love, respect, communication, and compromising.
Yes. As long as you have those 4 legs in the balance, flower stay.
This clearly has worked very well.
Yeah.
You guys are still as devoted as ever, it seems.
Yeah.
And your son and daughter are in the wine business. So Sally's involved in Darioush, and your son.
My son own a winery not too far from us called Ashes and Diamond at Highway 29.
Right.
And my daughter now is in the kind of training mode of learning the business. And hopefully one day would have the reign of running this place with the help of my son. And so it's good to, you know, I have to tell you a story that when when our president Dan DePolo, when the first day in 2004, I was giving him orientation tour, and he came from the big company of the Behringer that was change hand often. He asked me, "What is your exit strategy?" And I showed him that at the end of the vineyard there is an old oak tree, and I said, "Do you see that oak tree?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Under beneath it is going to be my ashes."
That's your exit strategy.
There. So my grandkids would not dare to sell the property that their grandfather's ashes is buried.
Because you want your intent is to have this the Darioush business in the family for generations.
Yes. It's so sad to in the last few years, some of the icon family wineries has been sold to the corporation.
Yeah.
And the soul of the companies are the founders, the family. And when you sell it, you don't have the same thing.
Yeah.
And so I made sure I do my best to keep that tradition. So they're going to have a hard time to sell the company.
Good for you. Good for you.
It's not going to happen in my lifetime. Yeah, I know for sure.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So looking back, I mean, your career is remarkable. Your story is remarkable. We have, a lot of families at exclusive resorts with young children and young people who are sort of forging their way. What advice would you give to young people starting out today, based on your journey and what you've achieved? What are the things that you think are important to success?
Never give up. It's it is something recently I see that the quote from Einstein that says,
I saw that on your desk.
Yeah. The ships are safe at the harbor, but that's not what they are built for.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are many waves or many bump in the road. It's like when the river started as a small stream.
Yeah.
And sometimes that stream see a big rock.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those streams, they don't pass that rock. They just stay. Mm-hmm. And they become swamp. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But some of them, they just go around that and continue, and they make a big river.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Darioush Khaledi.
Sure.
It's been such a pleasure having you here, or being here with you, and your generous hospitality and visiting the winery and spending time with you. And we really appreciate your membership at Exclusive Resorts.
Thank you. And from the first time a few years ago when we met on the deck of the yacht.
That's right. That's right. That's what we meant. That's right.
We click.
Yes, we did.
It's amazing. Some people, they click in the first second. They feel like they know each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to it. I look forward to spending more time together. And
sure.
And
likewise.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Stories like this are a window into what makes the Exclusive Resorts community unlike any other, filled with members who live with intention and travel without compromise. With more than 400 private residences and curated experiences around the world, the club continues to redefine the art of living well. Learn more at exclusiveresorts.com.